LeBron, what's your decision?
In this fall, man, it's very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Miami.
KD, you wrote that the last 2 weeks have been some of the most challenging of your life, and that this decision reflected your basketball career, but also your growth as a man. Tell people about these 2 weeks and just anything that jumped out at you and how that whole process went.
It's been hectic. It's a lot of attention that comes with being in this position, and I knew that. And when I met these guys, I felt as comfortable as I ever felt, and it was organic, it was authentic, it was real, and there's feelings I couldn't ignore. So, I made a decision to come and play for these guys, and I feel great, and I feel excited about this opportunity.
Is, of course, LeBron James, who even overshadowed the World Cup when he announced he'd be returning to the Cavs, and he says he's not leaving anytime soon.
It's people that came to me and said, LeBron, you got to do what makes you happy. I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, I think so. I think it's about time. And then I thought about it and said, hell no. I'ma do what makes my city and my state happy. And that's why I came back. I love you. I'm
back. Really? Welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Yes, sir. You know why you come to my channel? Because if you go to these other YouTube channels, you will not get the full truth. That's why you come to my channel, and you're back, right? A lot of these guys can't tell you the reality of it all, right? Because they're monetized. They don't want to say the wrong thing. You might think they're saying all the truth, but they can't because they want to be monetized. Well, we can talk the truth over here because we're not monetized. And we don't care, and we don't do this for money. Once you start doing stuff for money, guess what? What I've learned, you can't always tell the full truth. You can tell half-truths, but you can never tell the real truth. And we see the truth of the matter right here. And we're going to go into this really fast because a lot of people, they think they know about the NBA and LeBron James, ESPN, Fox, and Disney, but they have no idea about this big show in this big production that they have been putting on for LeBron James for about 15 years, right? They've been putting on a production for a 4-6 loser, for better or worse. When he loses, when he wins, they need something to talk about. They need to sell the NBA. And why is that? Because when the 90s guys left, the ratings fell off the damn cliff. These were men. These guys went out and competed, not just in the 90s. These guys came out the 80s also. So by the time we got to the late 2000s, the NBA continued to see this thing fall off the cliff and had no other decision but to bring you a fake career of LeBron James in a production. So let's talk about this for a minute. And I want to talk about the Olympic team. I was not impressed by them beating Sudan today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We might talk about it as we go through this. I wasn't impressed by Sudan, and I wasn't impressed by the Olympic team win. So you heard LeBron James, right? When he went to Miami, he's taking his talents to South Beach, right? This is the same thing Kobe said in his press conference when he decided to go to the NBA instead of college. He said he's taking his talents to the NBA. What a coincidence. There's nothing original about this LeBron James, and we're going to show you. The only thing original about this guy is this consistent losing, failing in the media, always putting a diaper on this baby-ass dude and putting a pacifier in his mouth every time he cries, right? So as we go on and move on, I want to talk in between this entire video about what happened today in the U.S. against Sudan. Look, bro, you can convince me all this nonsense you want, and they're throwing in our face that Sudan had 4 NBA players put up their names, how many minutes they played, how many years they played in the NBA, what college they went to, what was their ranking in college. Because I'm going to tell you what, right now, there's no player on Sudan that is playing in the 90s. There's no player on Sudan's team, South Sudan, that is making an NBA roster in the 80s. You want that again? There's no guy on the South Sudan Olympic team that is making a roster in the 80s or the 90s in the NBA. And we did this video, what was it, yesterday? And we was talking about fundamentals versus athleticism. Right? What trumps athleticism? If you don't have fundamentals will trump athleticism. If you're not fundamentally sound with athleticism or athletic, natural gifts. If you just have fundamentals, sometimes you can get beat by athleticism if those people possess athleticism in some fundamentals. It all depends. We talked about Larry Bird yesterday. And what I seen from Serbia, they basically were the same as Joker. Very unathletic. And that's why I said Joker couldn't play in the 90s. Not because he sucks, because he is not athletic. He would get dominated by Alonzo Mourning, Shaq, Ewing, Mutombo. Who else? Elijah One. He's not athletic. When your center can even give you a block a game, that's horrific. When your center backs away from the guy driving every single time instead of contesting him, he's not going to be able to play in the 90s. He won't even have to battle people in the 90s. It would just be, you won't make it in practice. Too physical. So let's look at this. We heard from LeBron James on this, right? In the video, when he came back to Cleveland, what did you notice? It sounded like this guy was drunk. You go check out that video if you want to. LeBron announces he goes back to Cleveland. This guy sounded like he was drunk. And he said he was not only doing, he said that people said, do what you want for yourself. And then he said something like he's not going to do that. He's going to do it for his city. And he's going to do it for his state. Cleveland, I'm back. Like he was drunk, right? And then we all know, if you look on the screen, Nike hit him with that slogan in that, what was it, a magazine or something like that? Guess who came back too? The first time, the original time, Michael Jordan was the first one to say, I'm coming back in this announcement. But he was coming back out of retirement. He wasn't coming back from getting curb stomped from a super team and leaving his original team high and dry to go front run with Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing in the same conference, right? He didn't say, I'm sick of losing because I'm melting down and I don't have superstars with me. This Pistons team is just incredible because they have basically a super team. 3 Hall of Famers and guys shooting lights out from the perimeter. Mark Aguirre, Vinny the Microwave Johnson, even Bill Laimbeer. So you got all these guys plus 3 Hall of Famers. That's a super team. And Mike didn't say, I'm out. I'm never going to win with Pippen and his headaches. I'm going to play with Barkley and Ewing. Well, that's and take all the power out of the East. Well, that's basically what LeBron did. And we all know he went over there and got curb stomped, right? Because he wasn't even respectful about it, right? He did this thing at the Boys and Girls Club. You heard him. You heard the kids when he announced. They said, oh, right? They were shocked. This is what you do in front of children? Show them how to be a quitter? Show them how not to be competitive? This is, I'm trying to tell you, this is people's goats. This is how crazy and insane and delusional the world is. Right? So he goes over there, he gets curb stomped, and he has to leave. He has to leave now to go get the new youngest talent, right? The up-and-coming talent. And folks, before we get deep into this video, let's explain this. You're going to see it on your screen in a minute. I see a lot of people who banged on Kevin Garnett. And you saw Kevin, no, not Kevin Garnett, Kevin Durant. You saw the video when you heard it. You can go watch the video. When he went to the press conference, when he went to go team up with the Warriors in 17, right? The guy was respectful. He didn't taunt nobody. It sounded like he was just sick of losing. Am I saying it was right? No, I'm not saying it was right. What I'm saying is you can't say it was wrong at the time because there was no more standard in the NBA. This guy just did it, but LeBron just did it twice before he did it once. So there was no more standard in the NBA to be had. So I've been hearing these videos about Kevin Durant clapping back at Keyshawn Johnson. I really don't care about that. You know how I feel about that. I'm not going to walk in line with the other YouTubers or Fox Sports. I already know what it's about. They all work together, the NBA, Fox, Disney, ESPN. They need something to talk about. Kevin Durant, clap back. Keyshawn Johnson, say this about Durant. Come on, man. If y'all don't know that's fake by now, it's fake. It's scripted. They don't have nothing to talk about. The same reason why all these NBA players went to the Olympics this year instead of that original FIBA team that just lost in 23. The NBA needs something to talk about, for better or worse. They need something to talk about not only on the offseason, but when the season starts, right? Somebody's going to get blamed if they lose. Somebody's going to be the hero if they win. It's going to be controversy if they win. Who was the hero of the Olympics? If they lose, who's really to blame? You guys see how this production works? You might not understand, man. And your YouTubers ain't going to tell you the reality of what's going on. It's a damn TV. It's a TV. It's TV. It's a lot of stuff on that TV is scripted. So for me, I don't care what Keyshawn and them said about Paul Pierce being on that team. What I can tell you is that the Warriors weren't that good. And we're going to go over this in a minute. Before Kevin Durant arrived, the Warriors weren't that good. Sorry for the reality check. I'm not trying to say they weren't a good team, but the team that people is making them out to be is ludicrous. 2015, this is not the same West that Kobe was playing in the 2000s. This is not the same West that was in the 90s. Not the same West, people. You got to stop. Your best players is what? Kevin Durant, James Harden, Westbrook. Ooh. I'm talking about the Warriors competition. Tell me their best competition in the West. And what have those guys did to lead a team? I'm not impressed by that West. It's not the same West. Now, is it probably stronger than the East? Sure. I have no problem with that. No problem at all with that. So let me say this real quick before we get into what we got to get into. Not only on that South Sudan team is none of these guys ever making a roster in the 90s, but the Olympic team this year, they're basically playing college level players. And when I say college level players, I'm not talking about great players. I'm not talking about all American players. I'm talking about just dudes that can make a college roster. And I won't say a weak one or nothing like that, but I'm just saying a role player on Kansas, a role player on Duke, a role player on, one of these teams, Michigan. That's all you got on the floor for South Sudan. Y'all got to stop, man. And the fact that they didn't blow South Sudan out by 40, 30, it just goes to show you something. Not that we don't have the skills, not that we don't have the fundamentals or the athletes, is that these dudes are so damn lackadaisical. Lackadaisical. Because if that's something they want to do, they just go out there and do it and beat the hell out of these guys by 40 points or more. It's a cop-out. It's an excuse to act like these South Sudan players are any good compared to this team. So these guys really don't have to go out there and play balls to the wall with 8 superstars on one team. It's disgusting. Because that's what the Dream Team would do. They would go out there and blow their motherfucking socks off. I'm trying to tell you, there's no way this South Sudan team would have been in the game at any point by 30 to 40 points. It would have been over. For one, you got to think about the intimidation factor in the first place. Imagine people, NBA players back in the day, was intimidated just by Michael Jordan when they stepped on the floor. Because that was Michael Jordan. Imagine South Sudan stepping on the floor with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Karl Malone, David Robinson, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler, all these dudes. Poopy pants. Poopy pants. Why? Because they know what these guys are about. They know what they did. And they know what the hell is coming to them real quick. I said this before. They don't need international players to justify how good they're going to play. These guys play at a high level against each other every single day. Ewing will be dunking all over these dudes. David Robinson will be dunking all over these dudes. John Stockton will be killing the pick and roll with Karl Malone. They will be picking these guys up, Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, from the damn half court. You think Michael Jordan is going to be turning the ball over 6 damn times like LeBron James? This guy is disgusting. The best point guard in the league right now is Halliburton, giving you 11, 12 dimes or something. And they got this dude on a bench for a turnover artist? Nike, this is what you got. This is what you're promoting as your best product? A dude who can only do dunks and layups. Through stiff arms and forearms to the damn basket. That's these people's GOATs. That's these people's best player the past 21 years. A damn football player. But when you watch all these other guys, and you see the Currys, you see the Durants, you even see the Whites today, you even see all these other dudes on the court, silky, smooth, game, good to go, with the mid-range, with the three. Pretty sad that LeBron can do none of that stuff. All he can do is bull charge the lane for 21 seasons. And they're making a mockery out of the viewers, right? How is he still doing this? How is he still doing this at 21? We hear Wade licking a crack, right? And when you hear these guys say this, how is he still doing this at 21? They're mocking you. They're not amazed. They know. They're mocking the hell out of you. That this guy can take whatever he's taking, PEDs allegedly, and get away with it because his career is a production. There's no accountability for him because the media is owned by the NBA and the NBA is a production on LeBron's career. So I wasn't impressed by this win on South Sudan because when you go play Australia, when you go play Canada, when you go play France, now you're playing in Germany. Now you're playing real NBA players, not some dudes that was playing for the D League or made the roster for a couple of weeks. I don't know how they could in the first place. They couldn't do it in the 90s or the 80s. These guys, look, every time these guys look like they could get back in the game, right? What would they do? They would turn the ball over. They would take bad shots. They weren't moving the ball around. All this nonsense. They're not fundamentally sound. Yes. They're great athletic, right? And that's athletically, and that's why they were able to stay closer than Serbia, who only possess the fundamental skills but have well, let me just say this. Serbia was missing a lot of damn shots, and I don't care, Uncut Hoops. You probably don't listen to my channel. I don't care anyways, but your boy Joker didn't show up. He wasn't controlling the tempo, the offense, like he does in Denver. And he should be closer to these guys in Serbia, on the Serbia team. Well, I wouldn't say that, but they practiced together. He wasn't the same Joker. He wasn't doing the same. Now, did I expect him to win? No. They're just not the same athletes. But he didn't show up like he used to. Yes, it's easy to get points or whatever like that, but he didn't show up for his guys like I thought he would. They banged up Puerto Rico today. So let's look at this. So what's worse, Kevin Durant going over here to play with these guys after they won one championship, been to the finals two times? Or LeBron James, who went to go play with Wade, Bosch, his draft class, and eventually Ray Allen. Ray Allen was a champion already. I think he was a three-point contest winner. All-star a lot of times. And then he did it a second time to go play with the next up-and-coming players, which was Love. This guy might be a top 75 player if he never went to go play with LeBron James. He ruined his career. So did Kyrie. I think he would have been even more. So LeBron did this twice. And you can see the accolades with these guys. And when we look at this, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When we talk about 2015, right? In the finals. Or 16, right? Or we're just talking about teams. The main players. Who's better? LeBron or Curry? Who's better? Kyrie or Clay? Who's better? Love or Draymond Green? So, and like I said before, this guy had this team down 2-1, going back home, and then they eventually lost. He did melt down and shoot under 40% for the series, 60-something% from the line, 20-something% from three. Then there are 5 turnovers a game, such and such and such. But they don't beat him up on that because he eventually lost both of them, Kyrie and Love. But they were beatable, right? So we go to 16. They are still beatable. And they end up beating them. For whatever reason we can talk about. We know it was a lot of stuff surrounding them. So, to me, they went to go get Kevin Durant. Because why? Because they knew if they didn't get Kevin Durant, what was going to happen? They was probably going to get beat again. Because not only did they almost get beat in 2015, if it weren't for Kyrie and Love getting hurt, but they got beat in 16. And if they got beat again, that would have been it. Let me ask you this. Who's better? LeBron or KD? Who's better? Kyrie or Curry at the time? Who's better at the time? Love or Clay? I don't want to hear nothing about what eventually happened to their careers. You don't go with that. You go, who was more accomplished? Who was better at the time? So most people with any common sense would agree that LeBron is at the time was better than KD with accomplishments, accolades, whatever. And then what? Kyrie is not better than Curry. And Kevin Love better than Clay. How do we know these things, right? Well, Kyrie was the #1 overall draft pick. Love was top 5. Both of these guys were other teams' #1 franchise players. And when we look at the Warriors, guess what? Only 2 of these guys were other teams' #1 franchise players. That would be KD. And that would be Curry. So what I'm trying to say is, folks, I've heard so many things throughout the years about this nonsense, about what I keep saying Kevin Garnett, what Kevin Durant did by joining the Warriors, and that was the weakest move of all time. Not only because it was in the same conference, it's because he had that team down the year before. Let me tell you something. There's no more weak moves. There's no more wrong moves. There's no more standards after LeBron did this 2 times in his conference. Am I trying to absolve and be on Kevin Durant's side? No. I say stuff about Kevin Durant all the time. He's a one-dimensional player. I think he's lazy. He only averages 7 rebounds for his career. He's not a leader. What he did will never put him up in the top 10 ever. But at the same time, why try to compete when the superstar of the league is not competing? Why do I got to be held to a higher standard while the person that's getting compared to Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, top 5 players, is not doing what they did? Going playing with the best players in the league again and again in his own conference. What standards do I got to live up to now? Somebody explain that to me. So Durant is just going by the norm. It's abnormal for Kevin Durant to do it. Nobody else was doing this, right? And LeBron was getting his butt licked on ESPN, Fox Sports, and all these. I couldn't even believe some of the stuff I was hearing when I went back to 15, 16, 7. I couldn't even believe some of the stuff I was hearing from Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp. Do you know when LeBron James, we forget this, right? When he left Cleveland the first time, you know when Dan Gilbert had to hear about that he was leaving on a decision. Didn't even give the man enough respect and tell him anything, right? So when he left, Gilbert said that he was a quitter. He was this and that and that and this. And guess what? When he came back, people like Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith was giving it to Dan Gilbert for saying that stuff. But nothing was said about LeBron's decision. Oh, it was just that, man. He need to go where he need to go, man. And he need to win. But they was vilifying Dan Gilbert for calling this man a quitter. I got a video coming up on that too. And so when he went back home, they celebrated this man. When he left Cleveland again, guess what? He didn't tell Dan Gilbert nothing. Dan Gilbert heard it from Wojnarowski or something like that through a tweet. Didn't even get a man enough respect to say, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to the Lakers. Didn't even. Oh, boy. And they was defending this guy, right? Oh, when they cut us or when they do something to the NBA players, they don't let them know. They might tell them through their agent. Man, these people on ESPN, the Chris Broussards, man. I can't even believe that I didn't know these guys were working for Clutch before. You know, the Stephen A. Smith, he came about when Clutch came about. Remember, it was just Skip on there before, giving the dead honest truth, right? Until 2011 or 2012. So I don't want to get too deep into that. But yeah, what Kevin Durant did is what the superstar was doing. Top 5 player of all time. They were saying he was comparable to Michael Jordan. So you're telling me Kevin Durant couldn't do it? You telling me it was cool that the Warriors, who built through the draft and hard work and fundamentals, had to play a super team, the Cavs? But it wasn't cool if they built a super team. These people are something else, man. if you don't have no respect for Kevin's 2 rings, because what Kevin Durant did, he didn't go in there and piss his pants in the finals like LeBron James when he built his super team in Miami. He came in there, showed up and showed out and stuck it to LeBron James. That's the difference. And you're lucky the man got hurt, or he would have won 3 in a row. Made LeBron lead the damn East. And he was crying for Kawhi Leonard to come play with him, but Kawhi didn't want none of that. Everybody else is building from the damn draft, just about, that's playing this man, from the Spurs, the Mavs, and beating his behind. But this man is running around building super teams, but when somebody else, it's not okay when somebody else does it, right? Only when the king does it, right? How can you be a king and you keep getting dethroned? Some of this stuff, I'm going to see if I can make a video. I just couldn't even believe some of the stuff I was hearing from, ESPN and, Fox Sports back in the day. It was just like, all of them was just, it's the same today, but I just couldn't even believe it started out that way, right? They was all licking his butt. And he proved nothing. He proved nothing. He proved not to be a winner as far as winning championships at the time. He didn't prove that he was a leader when he was jumping team to team. He didn't prove he was statistically dominant because he don't have no statistical titles like that. He didn't never prove he was coachable because he went through all these coaches. So to me, again, I've told you guys, his career is nothing but a production to me, for better or worse. They don't care about his losing because they can even make good ratings by people arguing, fighting, and bickering. It's different. We grew up on different standards of greatness. You was great from being the best at winning. When I listened to hip hop back in the day, you was the best because lyrically you smashed it and you told stories and you had a style that wasn't like nobody else's. You had great beats that wasn't just tick, 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 a drum and a hi-hat. You had funky beats that nobody had. If you try to sound like somebody, guess what? You better not even come to the damn record company because they're not going to put you out. They're going to clown you. Everybody had their own style. Everything was different when I was coming up. Only the best was on top. Whether it was sports, movies, sitcoms, music, it was the best of the best. It was no mediocre-ish at the top being promoted as the best. If you was a one-hit wonder, fine. You was a one-hit wonder and you was gone. They didn't try to make a one-hit wonder or something substandard, subpar into something great and tell you it was great when you're not hearing it. You're not seeing it. This is this era. I told you guys. When you see LeBron James in the Olympics doing layups and dunks, that's all he can do, and his team is rescuing him. That's why he put this team together. That's why he didn't go get that, put those guys under his wing in the FIBA, because he needs people with great fundamentals who ain't going to turn over the ball, who can hit jump shots, so he can front run when he's winning. You see this guy? 40-year-old billionaire doing layups and dunks on some college level guys that will be basically role players in college, not even like All-Americans, South Sudan. And when he hits his dunk and layup, he's flexing on these guys. And you wonder, when you talk to his fan base, they sound like, I don't know what it is. You just can't even imagine. Michael Jordan, anybody, at 40 years old, he wouldn't even be in the Olympics in the first place, but flexing on a team you're supposed to be blown out by 40 because you did a dunk and layup on them while you're doing elbows and straight arms to them, and you can't even touch them. I saw some fouls in this game on LeBron James. The guy just stood up there with his arms up, and a ref called foul because LeBron is in some motion, flailing with his elbows and everything, and the guy's just putting his arm up because he knows he can't even do nothing. But he's not going to get yelled at his coach for not even trying to at least put his arms up, and they called the man for a foul, and he just started laughing like, and this is what it is. And I told somebody, I said, look, for the United States, if you just don't really get ahead of them and shoot great, you're done. Because they're going to be getting all these ticky-tack fouls, and they're not going to have fouls called against them. Am I going against my team or USA? No. But this South Sudan is no competition. It's a 40-point blowout. That's why I said I don't trust none of this stuff these days, because now you can gamble on the Olympics. You really want me to believe any spread they're putting out and believe that these players are faithfully playing without some foul play? Well, good for you if you believe that. Because the United States is going to, in 1992 Dream Team, is going to blow these guys off the floor. And what's going to happen? South Sudan, in France, in Germany, in Serbia, and all these teams, they're going to say, well, damn. Well, that's what we thought they were going to do anyways. Look who they got on their team. 12 superstars. Okay. Dudes were different back then. They wanted the records. They wanted to separate themselves from other players, their competition, history, everything. These guys wanted to separate themselves. Not through longevity, through greatness, which means right then and there. That year, that day, that month, not 20 years. If that came, it came. But yeah, this guy had damn 6 turnovers, was like a -12 LeBron James, 5 assists. I say 12 points. Joel Embiid is on the damn bench crying. Get all these players in here, man. Why are you trying to limit this guy's minutes, limit this guy's minutes? Let these guys play. What are you waiting for, bro? You have no competition, especially against South Sudan. There's no reason not to play all these guys. It's ridiculous. Tell me what you think.